Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Live with Suzi. We're delighted to be speaking to Shane Malek, a financial consultant, president of FMIS Inc. And we have started, in case you don't know and you haven't heard about it, we have started a mini series about financial matters. For the past couple of months, every 2 weeks, we come on the air. We talk to Shane Malek, whose expertise is the world of finance with 30 years plus experience and more than 3,000 happy, satisfied clientele. And he talks to us, to you guys, about any needs you may have during your retirement or planning ahead. And he's really the expert and the one you want to get to know more. In order to reach Shane Malek, you can either go to his website, which is www.fmisinc.com, and or call toll-free number 1-800-477-1556. This is the beginning of our part number 7. The other parts that we've had already done, so you can either go to Live with Suzi, different social media platforms, and or the website I just mentioned, and you can check out the rest of our series about the world of finance. Happy to have you once again, Shane Malek, and we thank you for trusting in our business and Live with Suzi, and hope all is well with you.
Thank you very much. I know, good afternoon, by the way, first. And I also know that being connected with you is connected with the whole world, so that's good.
Thank you. Thank you for your trust, and we love your work, all the information you share with us. I'm getting actually a few calls here and there and comments that people do like you, they're trusting what you're telling them, and they're enjoying the show. So happy to share that with you.
Thank you.
Okay, now tell us, yes.
No, normally what I do is I talk about, a few of the things that happened during this week or last week, so we can discuss it and kind of explore a little bit, because I realize that a lot of uncertainties in the things that a lot of people do. So we talk about that, and we try to sort of bring some light to the surface, and actually they know what it is and things they can do with what they have already. And those kind of matters that are normally not, in our industry, when people, if I could sort of kind of a little bit go deeper on that issue, is in our line of work, a lot of people that have certain programs that we call them stale accounts that I've had for so many years. So they don't know what's available, things they can do or cannot do. And so when it comes to the matter of needs in so many different aspects, for instance, this week we had a client that works in a private company, and contributes to a 401k, and wanted to buy a house, never bought a house before. She's single, and she makes very decent money, and didn't know how to come up with a down payment in, obviously, the city of Los Angeles, as we all know, it's quite expensive. So one thing that she had no idea about, and was her 401ks that she's contributing. She's not of the age, meaning she can't withdraw money out of these accounts. So, I said, why don't you borrow from it? And then we sat down, we talked about numbers, and she realized that she can actually borrow quite a handsome amount of money to use it as a down payment to purchase this house that she was talking about. And that's available in all 401ks, actually, for those of you that do not know. When you have any accounts that you're contributing to each month for your, in your employment, is either 457, 401k, 3B, what have you. You're always allowed, as a first-time home buyer, to use it and borrow against the money that you have in that account. And that's
what a wonderful news.
Yeah,
I had no idea about that either. Wow.
It's funny, many I come to learn that don't know about that, and it's been always available. Nothing's new. It's always been there. So what it means is that instead of, you see, the money's there and you haven't paid any taxes on it. Obviously, if you were to withdraw this money, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. And that
Right.
defeats the purpose. So therefore, instead of that, you are allowed within that account that you have. Of course, there's certain limitations to how much, but nevertheless, you can borrow against it and use that as a down payment. Now, the way it works is if you have your money in the mutual funds, or even stocks for that matter, you can't do that. So for the amount that you want to borrow, you need to really not roll it over, but re-strategize it, reallocate it into some sort of a money market funds or something that is based on a fixed interest rate. So when you have that, then you can borrow that money. Once you do that, the money that you borrow, because you are not physically withdrawing that money out of the account, you're borrowing against it. So they use your money as a collateral to the money that you borrow. So that money that is still in your account, you're still earning the minimum interest rates. That's important to understand.
Wow.
So even though you borrowed it, it's still earning some money in there. And then
that's excellent.
Then they charge you depending on who you're with, for the borrowing of that money, the loan fees, the charges are, let's say 5%, and let's say you're earning 2%. So in essence, you're really paying only 3% to borrow that money. Yes. So it's very important to understand. Generally, they'll allow you to amortize that over 15 years, 20 years, which is really
just
decent.
like regular,
like regular rate, and then so you've done what you've done in a bigger picture. If I were to sort of dissect that, is that you have money sitting in your 401k. You're getting to use that money now without having to pay any taxes on it, and yet you're making certain small payments to repay that money that you borrowed. So the money is back into retirement money by the time that you're ready to use it as a retirement fund. So it's like, killing two
it's a
birds with one
win-win
stone.
situation.
Yes,
honestly.
exactly.
I think if anyone has 401k or IRAs, should really use this.
IRAs you can't.
No?
IRAs you can't.
IRA you can't?
No, you can only do that.
Okay.
You can only do it with let me word it differently. You can only borrow this from accounts that are through employer, and you put it, and it's withholding it from your paycheck. So that's why I said either a 401k, 457, which is a governmental plan, 403b for a nonprofit organization employees, or 501c3s, those kind of monies that are taken out from your paycheck each month.
Gotcha.
That you can borrow from, and it's absolutely a win-win, like you said. You can use that money to purchase a house, a car, whatever the needs are, and then you can even education, child education. So I mean, say if you need $50,000, there you go. You have it, you borrow, and then you pay it back over the next 10 years or so, and it's back into your retirement with a lower amount of interest rates than ordinarily you would when you borrowed. So that was one issue I thought I should bring it up today, because
I'm so glad you did. I had no idea, even though I spoke to people about the world of finance a lot of times. That never came up. So
it's one of those.
Thank you for sharing that.
Pleasure. But it's one of those things that most people don't know until it comes the need for it to sort of talk about. Otherwise, yes, it's not many people. And that's what I found out. This person has been contributing to her 401ks for the last, God knows what, 15 years or so. I had no clue about that. So it's a thing to know, and it does help. And you need to see, of course, where you are in your life, what age you are, how much you need, what kind of payment you're going to make to repay this. And but 99% of the time that works for your benefit. So that works.
Perfect.
So that's
a win-win
important
situation.
to understand. Absolutely. And then quickly switch gear to something else in the same arena. It was another thing that I thought I should mention, because again, that's one of those things that kind of been there, but people don't know a whole lot about. Now, everyone has heard pretty much when you have accounts such as IRAs and these type of accounts, when you come to a certain age, you're obligated by law now to withdraw an X amount each and every year and pay taxes on that amount. So that was the Tax Reform Act of 1978 that was changed. I might be wrong on that. It was the Tax Reform Act of 1984. Sorry, forgive me. Yes, Tax Reform Act of 1984 was done by Ronald Reagan. So what that means is, prior to that, you could have money into this type of account and leave it for your heirs without having to pay taxes on it. So that's Tax Reform Act. What it did, it says, no, in your lifetime, you're going to have to start at some point, withdraw an X amount of money and then pay taxes on that money. So that's what the so-called RMD, required minimum distribution, was created. So that's roughly, as I said, it's about give and take 4% of your entire amount of money that you have in these tax-deferred accounts, you withdraw. And based on what you withdraw that year, you have to pay taxes on it. And that's how the government sort of puts their hand on some of the taxes that you've deferred for all your working days. So that's the thing that they started back then. However, there are certain accounts, again, don't forget, coming back to that stale account I was talking to you about, because many people do something with these things, never review, never go back and see what they have, and they remain as they were 20 years ago, okay? So a lot of things have changed along the way, and but they've not kept up with. So what now is going on is this: they may have an account that is only earning a couple of 2-3%, and generally speaking, when you have a 401k type of accounts, when you're actively contributing and you kind of put money every month, you might be different. In other words, you can always reallocate and all that, but generally you get probably more interest than when you are not working and the money is just sitting there, so to speak, even though it's not supposed to. So the point is, when you come to RMDs, required minimum distributions, if you only take the so-called RMD money out, which is about 4%, you are slowly beginning to deplete the account if you're earning less than 4%, obviously, because the earning is 2% and you're taking 4%, so you're depleting your money by about 2-3% a year. So sometimes there are provisions here that we have. I mean, we do have programs that offer you much larger in interest rate and guarantees that. So when you, instead of taking the RMD, you could activate this income benefit riders that I have been talking to you about. Instead of the RMD, you satisfy the IRS because you're taking the money out. That's all IRS cares for at this time, because they want to know that you're taking of that 4% or more of that. But the second thing is that now that you're earning a higher interest rate, and this income benefit riders guarantee that you can never outlive that. So it means that it could very well be the same as you started 20 years before. So it means, like, say, hypothetically, the age of retirement, or so-called mandatory withdrawals, is 72 now. So if you started taking money from the age of 72, you could take it out for like 20 years. And what if after 20 years you realize that you have the same money that you had 20 years before, and you're taking all this money out every month or every year? You know what I'm saying? So in essence, there are ways to look at, when it comes to that retirement age and that RMD age, which is now 72, what your options are. Are you able to do something like that, that yet you satisfy the IRS by these withdrawals and yet not reduce the value of your accounts that you have? It's I know it sounds kind of, it's one of those situations that you have to sit down and look at the numbers.
Of course.
And it makes sense. I know it kind of, when you talk about it, it makes some people be a little bit
kind of confused,
clear,
overwhelming.
Confusing, or overwhelming. But it is true, which means you can take income from these accounts for life, and without really reducing the value of your account.
Well, that's why we have you, Shane Malek, because we obviously get overwhelmed with all these news and rules and regulations. But when we have you taking care of it for us, then we have all peace of mind, and we don't have to worry too much. You can handle it all. Thank you so much. Be safe, everyone.